So we're back on tour. We're up at Joe's parents and I'm planning on getting the groundwork done for a new garden design at their kind of side garden here, building some raised oak timber beds. So when I came up, I finished this fence last time we were up visiting. Just put those 3 strands of wire in. There's a little bit of footage here of me doing that. Fairly straightforward, the turnbuckles one end and some eye bolts the other. Just got it as tight as possible. Now that corner brace that I put in held the gate post pretty vertical. It did pull it in a little bit, so I had to slacken them back off. They're certainly taut enough now anyway to grow things up. And like I said, the gate post is pretty much vertical, but I'm going to just trim it out with some timbers just to make sure it's square and the gate sits nice against it. So with that done, we thought we'd have a look at this area, which is basically a bank where a large tree was taken down maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe longer actually. So the old stump has been ground away and there's just like a rough bed of soil and bark mulch and stuff left there. The idea is to raise that up only by about 1/2 metre, but do a sleeper border. I think they got some quotes from builders to do it, but of course as soon as I got wind of that, I suggested that I came up and did it. So we, rather than just doing horizontal sleepers like we did in our garden, where you lay them on their sides, they were quite keen to have a bit of kind of curves and fluidity in it, so, and also terrace it slightly, so bring it up and down. So rather than just doing square, sort of fairly modern sleepers on the sides, we're going to bed them in vertically, and that way we can kind of scroll it around the beds and the height. So did a few cheeky SketchUp sort of mock-ups, but the rest of it is kind of being back of a notepad sketches. So I've kind of estimated what we need, but what I want to do today is dig the trenches, dig all the foundations for the wall, measure up so we know exactly what materials we need, and we can bring it in on budget with no kind of tons of gravel or anything left over afterwards. So I've done some rough designs on paper. I'll give you a quick look at those and then I better start digging. Okay, this is what we got. So the back wall is along here and here. It's the fence panels. Just need a lick of paint really. The corner is still going to be kept as a hard standing to park in the trailer in. So this is the bed we've got, and this is all going to be raised. And like I said, this is kind of a side version of it. So I haven't decided on exactly how we'll have it, but we'll have some sort of curves and slopes that way, as well as coming in and out from the side. That's pretty much it. We're going to be sinking those sleepers using oak sleepers. We're going to be sinking them vertically into a trench, which is going to be, I'm going to do an average depth trench all the way along. So I'm going to aim for 1/2 metre in depth. We'll have a bed of gravel at the bottom of that and then backfill it with concrete. And just some of my rough costings. I'm trying to bring it in under £1,000 for the whole project. You'll have to excuse the workwear, I look like I've just come off a rugby field. They've got some kind of edging stones in here somewhere, so I may reuse those for part of the project. So we're going to take those out and I'll start by kind of following that same line with our trench. Don't want to eat into the lawn too much, but it'd be good to sort of just get out what I can and then bank it up. Most of these plants are just excess strawberry runners that have kind of come in from the veg patch. There's a few bulbs that they want moved, so we'll do that first, clear it all out, and then work these sort of curves out. This corner is where the trailer's going to be parked up, so I need to make sure there's a good entrance here, and we'll kind of curve the walls in to allow for that. And over here there's an old tree stump, as you can see, and then that curves back down to the driveway. So I'm going to try and either just neaten that up and leave it at lawn level, or maybe even use the sleepers offcuts to take that all the way back down to the drive. Right, next job. I've cleared out a little bit of what plants we needed to salvage. And like I said, this curve is pretty good. We're going to try and work with that, just accentuate the other end to kind of bring it out a bit. So I've got a bit of red spray paint. I'm just going to make a rough mark where we're going to cut. Then I'll clear it with the in-laws before we start digging. Get at least kind of 100 to 150 mil of concrete either side of those, so we'll go for 2 spade widths, I think. Now, did budget for a mini digger, and that's what we were going to do, but I thought by the time we planked and tried to protect the lawn, it takes a little bit longer. Obviously it takes much less time for the digging part, but you haven't got to worry about chewing up the lawn. It'd be quite nice to finish the project with it all looking pristine, not tyre tracks and needing to re-sow and keep me fit. While a mini digger might have been quicker to dig the trench, one thing we'd probably end up with is you kind of get a bit carried away and we probably end up digging too deep for what we're, I mean, we're only coming up this high with the wall and you only really need about half of the height of your wall underneath in the concrete, so we're going slightly over that. But if we ended up using the mini digger, there's the chance that we would end up going over by 20-30% in depth, but that adds up. That's probably over a cubic metre extra of concrete, and then you haven't saved yourself any money in the end. I should have started this end. I don't know what it is, but this end is just awful to dig in. It's like sand and gravel and house bricks and roots. The other end was a lot softer. Anyway, I've got the curve coming back in now. I had a bit of ad hoc design with mother-in-law to make sure that we kind of worked out what we're going to do in this corner. So we're no longer going to put the trailer right up in this corner, which is quite visible. I'm going to build like a little tuck-away fenced area for it down on the side. So that means I'm going to bring the slightly taller sleeper wall back in on a curve in on itself to the fence, and then I'm going to kind of peel off it. If you can imagine, I don't know, like 2 arcs intersecting. So there'll be an intersecting point there, and this area will be much lower because the fence panels are to the floor, so there's no concrete fence gravel board at the bottom. So we'll kind of have this nice terrace, which I think will work well. Just means that we end up with quite a big expanse of border here. So I suggested maybe that we put like either a bit of seating or a bird bath or a tree or something as a focal point. This bit would have benefited from a mini digger. Right, I think I've sufficiently graffitied their lawn. That channel's dug, so it comes back in on that bend. At this point here, we're going to take the shorter wall, like the step down part of the terrace, off, across on a curve, back into the fence over there. And then where I'm going to place the kind of parking for the trailer, I'm going to cut the paving slabs. There's some old ones down here. Lay those, and then I'll cut the same curve on it, just so, and also sink them below the lawn level. So when you're cutting the lawn, you can just mow on that one bend. So taking that area back down only an inch or two below the grass level at the moment, and then what I'll do is, when I have the hardcore or whatever sub base we're using, we'll go a little bit deeper, but it's just horrible to dig, so I'm going to leave it there as it is for now. And now I just need to move all the paving slabs over there. Flying ant nest. So I'm trying to spread out the soil we've got, which I've excavated from that trench. But also there's 5 or 6 of those compost bins up there. Now the stuff that's in them is varying degrees of compost. Some of it's only a few months old, some of it's been in there for years. So the last one I've tipped out is really good compost. I'm going to use that as the top mulch. So we'll try and even out what I can now. Right, I think that's me done for the day. There's a little bit more tidying up to do, but the weather's turned, it's starting to rain now, so and I'm absolutely exhausted. Emptied all the compost bins onto there. I still think we're going to be a little bit short, but we'll try and make do without having to bring in too much extra soil or bark. So the next video will be all the woodworking. I'm going to get most of the materials on site by then. We'll need about 25 of the oak sleepers. I'm going to do a full day on just the sleepers, not fitting them, just cutting them down to a selection of heights, using a router to take the edges off them, give them a bit more of a finished sort of appearance, almost get to a dry fitting point by then, and also try and get that hard standing done for the trailer. So remember, click subscribe if you want to watch more videos that will be coming up shortly. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.